Hey, Craig.
Let's get into some coffee talk.
Hey, I love it. I love doing some coffee talk.
Well, talk about what?
Dogs, daughters, whatever. It's coffee talk.
Coffee talk.
Oh, it's a coffee talk. Are we already recording, Mr.
Oh,
Craig?
Mr. Jason had the bell out, and then he realized, coffee talk, we don't use the bell.
You're a sneaky Mr. Craig.
You said, let's fire it up. I mean, I hit record.
So here's something funny, and you and I both do it. What were we just talking about?
I think everybody does it. So this was supposed to start recording 21 minutes ago. 21 minutes ago, we keep telling each other, okay, we're going to be on time. I'm worse than Jason because I'm older and have more old timers. But what happens is something comes up right at that moment, right? So one of the other Elite Dudes members messaged about something, and instead of just putting it on a list, which I know, put on the reminders list or put it on the notes or any of the other million places we write all the stuff we need to do, I handled it. But then in handling that, it required also sending something to somebody else. And so Jason also was late. He messaged me and said, hey, I'm going to be 10 minutes late. I have to take care of something. So maybe he might have done the same thing. But what happened, and then I responded, well, it's last in, first out, baby. And I started thinking about last in, first out. Not a good strategy. Not good, right?
It's the hamster wheel. It's guaranteed that you will not get in.
You will fail.
To the top of your list.
So here we are.
It is something that we do work on, though.
Yeah.
We're cognizant of it, and every day because here's the thing. Everybody tries to do the right thing and do the best for everyone. And when you try to do the right thing and the best for everyone, you please nobody because everybody's let down in some fashion, right? Because those things at the top of the priority list that you put off to do the other thing that might be lower on the priority list, now that is either going to be late or not as quickly done when that's the most important thing. Or you just don't even get to it altogether.
Well, you're run ragged.
You're run ragged.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. You know what Bob Marley said?
What did he say, Mr. Craig?
You can't make all the people happy all the time, but you can make some of the people happy some of the time.
Some of the time. And when you do that, you end up making the majority unhappy.
But you made me happy by saying do again.
That's in my vocabulary, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm very sophisticated, Mr. Craig, as you've learned.
Yes, very, very. Well, so what are some things that you could do to avoid that hamster wheel? What are some things that we could do? I know what I could have done. I don't know what you ended up having to do. So, I won't pretend to direct you. What did you have to do?
You can do things like turning off notifications. So a crazy thing happened in the office of something that's caused a lot of pain to one of our main agents here. And I kind of wanted to just help her nip it in the bud, although it didn't get done. But I think I need to make that phone call to establish something for her.
Right when you have something else scheduled?
Yeah, and it served a greater need.
Good. Well, for
emotional stability for the day.
So that's the important thing, right? Is the prioritization. So this thing happened. Now I need to make a decision, right? If you can think of life in terms of a flow chart, right? Okay, the new little squares are going to pop up constantly that insert themselves in the middle of the flow chart. And you have to pause if you're going to allow it to interrupt you, right? A really good method of not doing that, just turn off notifications, turn off your ringer, make sure that you can be present.
I will argue that statement, so let's bring that up after this.
Well, we will. And I could tell you about the argument that I had with my wife about that. So, but let's just
cliffhanger.
Say, cliffhanger. Spoiler alert. No spoiler alert. So as those little squares get inserted in front of you on that flow chart, then it's like, okay, is this more important than my next thing or the thing that I'm doing? Yes or no? And I think it's important to make that decision. So my thing was not more important. It did not require being done right now. It could have been done a little bit later after we're done with this. And I could have just stuck it on a reminder and then I would have done it. But I wanted to just knock it out of the way, just get it done. And you had said you were going to be 10 minutes late. So I thought, you know what, I'll just take care of this. But then that created an additional 10 minutes. So then we're on 20 minutes late. So that I am aware that was probably not the best decision. But, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. It is what it is.
Now we
wouldn't have this to talk about.
That's true. And this is great. So let's talk about the putting notifications on do not disturb or whatever, right? Well, it's like a Band-Aid. This would be my argument against that. That's like a Band-Aid for the problem, right? So the problem is it's hard to focus on the things that are the most important and to follow through with those things or follow through with what you're doing. If you just hide the notifications, you're still going to do that as soon as somebody walks in the door. That's a version of a notification, right? Or something happens, you're going to still have that behavior. So the behavior doesn't change. You're just eliminating a jumping off point for you. So my argument would be to zen out on it. You got to get used to, you got to train so what I should have done in my circumstance is I should have put it on my list, because remember, it's like we always say this about training people, especially when we're helping train agencies and stuff. It's about the process, right? So the process we need to establish a process, which the process is you take the information, you put it, you have a time where you take all the information from the day and you prioritize it and then you handle it, right? So what I should have done is taken that information and then scheduled it at the appropriate time instead of handling it right away. Because I still have the behavior that even if I could justify it this one time, I'm still have the behavior that's going to lead to the unsuccessful daily strategy. So it's almost better to do the process, have the process, and follow the process even at your own detriment to create the overall greatest strategy that will get the most done.
Now, my counter argument would be that you insulate yourself from the distractions so the task with which you're engaged in right now can be performed at a higher level instead of looking over, oh yeah, I do have to do that. Let me throw it on my note and I'll pretend I'm listening to Jason while I'm doing it, or scanning your email while you're talking to somebody, which I do all the time and isn't a good idea either.
So then my counter argument to that would be,
that's a counter to the counter.
Wouldn't you want to practice for all the unknown variables throughout the day? So like being able to just do it with those notifications on and being able to ignore them, doesn't that train you to be able to ignore all the other unknown variables for the rest of the day?
I don't know. I mean, I think I have a medical condition that prohibits me from doing that.
I won't argue that, but I'm just saying, no.
Maybe the average person can, and I think everybody's different. For me, I would prefer like during a thing, like we're talking, I don't have any notifications on. Nobody can. In fact, I did not turn off Bluetooth though. So that is a challenge because if somebody calls whilst we're talking, you know what happens. It hijacks the audio. So I did turn that off. So now there isn't any way to distract me unless I look at my phone, right? I have notifications off on my computer. I have notifications off on my phone. Or no, I do have notifications on, but they're on silent and no vibrate. So they pop up, but I usually turn it face down so I don't see them because I'll squirrel. I'll look at it. Oh, it's my office. Oh, it's Teledudes. Oh, there's just too many different things that somebody needs something right now. And to your earlier point, and quoting Bob Marley again, you can't make all the people happy all the time. You can only make some of the people happy some of the time. So I'd rather wait an hour, then look at it and see if there's anything that requires right now. Spend 10 minutes on that. If anything requires longer, then book it and do it later. Unless it's so time sensitive that it has to be handled right now. Like your taxes are due and you're going to be fined if you don't get it in. Very important, right?
Maybe to some.
But I do put on Do Not Disturb sometimes, but to alleviate that challenge, because then you couldn't get a hold of me. If I put on Do Not Disturb, you could get through, my wife could get through, my son could get through, my daughter could get through. That's it. I didn't even put my parents so they could get through.
Wow, look at my spot on the priority.
Yep.
That's
and
amazing,
I put Kanye too, but
I teared up.
He didn't call.
Oh, he didn't.
No.
Oh man.
He has such good gifts though.
But I think this is a great conversation though. The bottom line is in an agency, you cannot have, I think it's one of the jobs that has the most distractions. There's so much to do in an agency.
Exactly.
You got to prioritize and you got to try to eliminate distractions.
Right.
It's at least you have to try, right? So I don't care what the process is, follow some sort of process because you know that every day is just going to be crazy. And you know that if you haven't been that productive lately and you keep following the same thing that, what you're going to get. So
we've talked about that too, right? Busy doesn't equal effective, right? You're not getting it done. You could be busy at your agency all day long and not get anything done, right?
You know what? Busy is actually counterproductive. Remember the book? What is it? Stillness is the Key.
Oh,
I know we've talked about it before.
Stillness is
by
the
Ryan
key.
Holiday. Dude, that is, if you haven't read that book, go read. Ryan Holiday is my favorite.
Yeah.
But read that book. It's so awesome. And it gives great examples of amazing leaders and people throughout time that have had to deal with incredibly hard decision making. And they really just got to a place where JFK was a great example, where they got to a place where they just had to everything, like a still point in their life where they just kind of, took out all distractions.
Oh,
did
they went on Do Not Disturb. So they put themselves on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah.
So my counter argument to your counter argument would be that.
Okay, then what's the Do Not Disturb for people walking into the house? Is it just like locking the door and stuff like that?
Yeah. Put a note on your office and say, Do Not Disturb.
Right.
Because somebody's going to have something, right? Rico's down. The internet's down. What do I do? You can go help them. I mean, you've been really good in getting me better at that also, is, you could solve their problem, but all you're doing is setting it up so that you're Office Google, right? They need to solve the problem. Internet's down.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens at your house when the internet's down? The process is not any different, right? You call Comcast and you say, hey, my internet's down. This is the solve. But if they need to ask you, then you're helping them too much. Actually, you're being counter helpful because they're learning to not think for themselves. And
100%.
That's not good either.
So don't answer anybody's question ever in the argument of you're helping them be more resourceful.
Yeah. I don't know who it is. It was it might have been Julius Caesar or one of those, who's one of the Alexander the Great? I don't know.
Orange Julius? Oh, okay.
Orange Julius. No, not Orange Julius. But they would back before I don't think they had email quite yet, but before, so they would get everything by, Pony Express, right? They'd run a letter out there and they wouldn't read it for 2 weeks. They would not open the letter for 2 weeks. And then if that person didn't come to them, they wouldn't even bring it up because it was it got handled. So a lot of issues that take up the monotony and hamster wheel of day-to-day agency life probably could solve themselves. And you really would put yourself in a much better position by creating a process for almost everything. We've done the exercise where you write down, okay, what are all the things I did today? Everything. I took a payment. I answered the phone. I, whatever. Who cares? There's a million things you list that you did today. And then start writing next to them somebody's name that could do that. Because once all of those things aren't being done by you, you've just freed up an incredible amount of time that could be used on something that's going to generate more revenue for the agency. You're there for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. Why should you be doing something that's a $12 an hour job that somebody that you're paying $12 could do and not doing something that brings in $500 an hour?
Truth.
Unless you love it.
Text Craig at 520-214-2219 and let him know what the number one distraction in your agency or your life is.
Yep. And what I will do,
Craig will
read that and I will ask Jason to respond because I just don't have time to respond. No, I'm just kidding. So we'll respond to it.
Cool.
Or
all right, guys.
Or maybe Carmen will.
Let's, right now we got another appointment. So let's prioritize that.
Oh my gosh.
Although this is incredibly important for us to stay on schedule is also important. So let's do it.
And I would like to say one last thing. I just want to tell everybody how grateful we are that you're listening to this. And I hope that it's helping.
Season 2, baby. It's the Deuce.
Season 2. The Deuce has dropped. We'll see ya.
And that's a coffee talk.
Hey, Jason.
Yes, Mr. Craig.
That was another awesome episode, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if people want to get a little bit more action and learn how to do write 100,000 in premium
Yes.
off of even the worst internet leads, where could they go?
they can go to live.teledudes.com.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. Are we going to be there?
Yes, it's a weekly call that we're doing right now it's live, and it will show you the process. The entire process is super awesome.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Sign up right now, live.teledudes.com.
Live.teledudes.com. That's live.teledudes.com.
Hey, Craig, there's a new community that we are starting that I cannot wait to tell everybody about. It is our live texting community where you and I are going to answer people's questions and give them free content, right?
Are you kidding me? We get to talk to them?
Yeah, which is awesome, but they have to opt in. They have to text us at 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
Nice.
Craig, are you going to respond to these texts?
I'm going to respond to them for sure. Live.
I'm into it too. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be our new texting community where we're going to get back to everybody that we can and drop some crazy content, free content, and free the calculator that you just came up with. That's right. The calling calculator, sales material. I mean, everything for insurance agents. This is it. It's the best texting community out there for insurance agents.
Well, what the heck is that number again? I can't remember it.
It's 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
I love it. I'm going to text it right now.
520-214-2219.
All right. I'll see you later, Mr. Jason.
Bye, Mr. Craig.
Wait, do they even listen to this on the radio anymore?
I love it. I love it.
Nice.